the main powers in arms industry are also doing most of the research, and that is what is being done, research and testing. That's very interesting, very alarming. The US have been, as far as the documents go and the witnesses go, been testing bacteriological weapons on human beings, this in Georgia, in Tiflis, in a laboratory called the Lugar Center. And the former Secret Service minister has complained that suddenly dozens of Georgians died very quickly, no reason given. And even Turkey is involved, as there's a cancer wave in the population, and the people get their treatment in Turkey. And Turkish doctors asked back to Georgia, what's happening in your country? We suddenly get so many cancer cases from you here in treatment in Turkey. What's going on there? So these things are going on, testing on people, and of course developing countermeasures against biological, bacteriological attacks is also a subject. This is of course the question many people are asking themselves. I cannot exclude that. I say that is possible. The Washington Post, for example, is denying this after pointing out very interesting business links of the Bill Gates Foundation, of the EU Commission, that is the main body of the European Union, the World Health Organization, WHO, the World Economic Forum in Davos, the UK Ministry for the Environment, all of them involved in laboratories and in discussions about some kind of weapon like this. So I think this is a very, shadowy business. What is going on here? What is Bill Gates doing? He's interfering, in fact, into global development aid with a lot of his money, and he's creating chaos with his money and disorder and buying the best people for crazy salaries from existing very serious and truly helpful organizations. So this is his agenda, and I don't trust this kind of people and this kind of institutions, and I don't trust their agenda. Only one power globally able to conduct such an attack is the US, of course. They are far advanced in testing those weapons. They have, taken over a string, 5 or 6 major laboratories from former Soviet Union members who are now put on themselves and who have these old laboratories as a reminder of the old Soviet times, and the US is using all of them. They have bought them, they have invested into them, and why do they do this? And this all is encircling Russia, and Russia feels encircled. So then there's recent testing on patients without their consent. This in Tiflis, Georgia, as I pointed out. And there you need a criminal mindset of global domination and of using weapons of mass destruction. And of course it's proven that the US is having this kind of nurturing, this kind of mindset. They are fighting for global dominance. This is also affecting Turkey and of course Germany, because we are not a sovereign country. So these are the things that happen, and if there's a main suspect globally, this is the US. Sorry to say that. Well, I would say swine flu and bird flu, these were certainly fake operations. But with coronavirus, that may be an attack, possible. But of course, we cannot be sure right now. We will see later on when this develops. We will see the numbers of dead people. We will see who is earning, who is doing profits from this kind of pandemia, and we just wait for the results. But swine flu and bird flu were, of course, a huge business, and corrupt institutions like the World Health Organization or national organizations like our German Robert Koch Institute, RKI, these are highly corrupted by the pharmaceutical mafia, and it is clear that they earned a lot with swine flu and bird flu, and the coronavirus we still don't know. You see, I understand that there are 5 huge global corporate cartels. And of these 5 cartels, I will name them. There is first of all finance, then it's media, then it's energy and the arms industries, And then comes, chemistry and pharmaceutical companies. They are all of them very powerful. And of course, the pharmaceutical sector is growing and has growing potential by very corrupt and increasingly corrupt health sectors in the international community and the national medical institutions. And that is, how to say, one of the big, billion-dollar global players. You see, these cartels are interlinked. The global pharmaceutical mafia cooperates with the military. This becomes clear if we look at the testing at the Lugar Center in Tiflis in Georgia. That is done with the military. They've been testing drones to apply poisoned insects, or for example, they registered a patent for this openly on their website. They registered the second patent for filling ammunition for pistols, and they are showing a pistol on the website, and also a link to the patent application to fill ammunition for pistols with, poison, and poison people with gunshots, with pistol shots. So this is what the military is doing in cooperation with, this kind of research. And of course, they're after money. Very simply, they're after money, and all of them, they're after global control. So they try to interfere into governments. They try to, corrupt them. They try to make friends. We have, for example, a health minister in Germany, Mr. Spahn, who is hotly debated because for several years he worked for the pharmaceutical mafia. And now he's health minister in Germany. What can we expect from such a guy? And yes, we understand bad policies. It is the most powerful companies who, are inventing the medicines. They're inventing the illness first, and then they are selling the vaccines to governments. Germany, in one case, has bought 50 million vaccines, and most of them they had to throw away because the population was denying the doctors to, getting these shots, getting these vaccines. And of course, all the doctors make a huge profit if there's some pandemia like this, because they can apply these vaccines to all their patients. That is big business, and they are, in fact, very good transmission belts of the pharmaceutical mafia to the people, because they earn more if they give more vaccines. That's very clearly. So they do a lot of propaganda among their patients and their clients who trust them and try to sell these vaccines. And of course, finance, as I pointed out, that the financial mafia is working with the pharmaceutical mafia. The financial mafia earns a lot by giving loans. Yeah? Some countries may not be able to, pay these vaccines in cash, and then they take a loan from the finance mafia, who invents the money out of thin blue air. So this is the way the business is being done. If we look at the developments, and if we look what is being done by the powers. I think the coronavirus is going to be a lot stronger than the SARS virus, SARS, in 2003. We have now approaching 400 dead people because of coronavirus, mainly in China, of course, mainly in Wuhan. And more are to come. I think several thousand. It may be in the 5-digit thousands. That is possible. And we have, the media like the Washington Post, first of all explaining things and, giving information on the Gates Foundation and things like this, and now trying to get back on it and become more, a little bit more cautious about their information. That means they're being afraid of pressure of the mafia. That is very clear. I have given public advice last week to the Chinese Secret Service to research in the outbreak of this pandemia, coronavirus, in China, because I'm afraid of an attack, correctly. This is my last word to it. We should make sure, was this an attack or not? And some signs are there, so we all have to be careful. The US was threatening China, but we must be very sure if the US is behind the coronavirus, that is, possibly, potentially triggering World War III, because this is a military attack. And I'm not sure Washington is right now prepared for such an attack. I'm not sure about this story, but of course the suspicion is always there, because we know Washington policies, and they are unfortunately very often very criminal. We are already now, without the coronavirus, facing such an operation. We have bad and poisonous food and medicine. Look, for example, at the sweetener aspartame. Monsanto and now German company Bayer, unfortunately, taking over this crazy corporation Monsanto. What they have done with aspartame, it was poisoned. Everybody knows in the world that this is pure poison. It's in fact a weapon, aspartame. And what did Monsanto do? They are in fact nothing but a network of lobbyists. And with this network, they pushed aspartame into so many kinds of, sweets and foods and chewing gums and cola drinks and whatsoever. It's pure poison, and they succeeded. And afterwards, they sold the rights to aspartame at a much, much higher price. This is how it works. So this is an operation, and it is, of course, helped by the financial mafia. And coronavirus may become a bigger story, but maybe not too big, because we understand right now that this is some kind of influenza virus. And we in Germany now counting, I think, 13 people infected. We think that we can contain this, but we will see afterwards. There's a Chinese company by the name of XAG, and they're trying to use drones. That news is a day old, and the outcome is very unsure, but of course, certainly this is a good way to make money. What is very interesting in this case is that it is not very difficult to use chlorine dioxide for the people to drink. That is, for example, distributed in Germany in 2 components, and after this there's no smell. You can easily drink it, it's easy to prepare, and it is relatively cheap. But this is not mentioned in our corrupt, cartel-owned big media. The people are not told that this is possible to buy in China. This is not open for the public. Why not? It is very easy to protect yourself against viruses like that with chlorine dioxide. Very strange story happening here, showing how much the pharmaceutical mafia has already, taken over control in the media. So what we have right now, and that's what the analysts already say, is that we have a huge economic backlash in China right now. We will have more civil unrest, of course. Look at the poor city of Wuhan with 11 million inhabitants, and they are forced to stay home. They are isolated from the surroundings. Very difficult life right now. People will be unhappy because of government mistakes, because of oppression, faulty and weak health service. All these kinds of things will happen to China, of course. But China has also made mistakes. When, early January, late December, 7 doctors pointed out that they have strange cases of a lung disease. They were simply taken in by police, and authorities were boasting that they have taken 7 crazy doctors into prison for stirring unrest. And then comes, this pandemia and growing worldwide. That's, of course, a very sorry story for China. And China, of course, will bear the brunt of the burden. Very sorry for the Chinese people. We have fantastic literature on herbs and on their healing powers. And this literature was written 300, 400, 500 years ago. All later works on herbs are, they have flaws. There are some herbs left out. And we have just bought such a book. It was in reprint in 1980. And we are here very astonished about the, huge information, very nicely presented, how to heal it, how to look at other, signs of the patient, signs of illness, and how to use another herb if this sign in the patient comes to this. We don't have this kind of literature nowadays. And look at the whole very sad story of homeopathy. Germany, 70, 100 years ago was a world leader in homeopathy. Now it's India, thanks to the Indians that they are doing it. And our cartel media are increasingly telling the people that homeopathy is not working. It's just, a sugar pill. And that is, of course, complete nonsense. There are lots of, medical treatments which are very close to nature, very helpful for the people, and at very low cost. And all these things are being oppressed. And this is why I call the pharmaceutical sector the pharmaceutical mafia.